Well, let's move back now to Israel. And even as it grapples with a new wave of terror, a verdict has been delivered on one of the most horrific such attacks in recent years. Mohammed Kabha was sentenced to life imprisonment today by the Sumerian military court for the murder of Esther Horgen, a then 52-year-old immigrant from France, attacked while out jogging near the Tel Menashe community in the northern West Bank. Horgen valiantly fought back against her assailant, who brutally beat her down with a large stone. The court called that deadly assault, quote, a case that shocks the soul, and called the terrorist actions an inconceivable evil. Horgen left behind 6 children and a husband who was with us this evening, Benjamin Horgen. And Benjamin, thank you for joining us so much on this evening. First of all, no court verdict can ever do justice to what happened to your late wife, Esther. But what is your reaction, your immediate reaction to the verdict that was delivered down today?
Well, first of all, we are relieved that this episode is behind us, and I will not have, in the near future anyway, any occasion to face this evil man again. So that's a kind of relief. On the other hand, of course, we are, let's say, satisfied with the verdict, which was expected. There was no big surprise there. But we are obviously also saddened that only him stood there on the bench as accused from this murder, because I strongly believe that this murder was actually ordered by the Palestinian Authority through its incitement against Israel. And furthermore, they are paying him quite large amounts of money since his imprisonment, and until the end of his days, he and his family will benefit from a lot of monetary benefits. And I believe that it proves that the Palestinian Authority stands behind these acts, as they stand behind the other acts that we have seen in the recent weeks.
Right, now you're referring to what is called the pay for slay. Some
exactly
into that. So what practical steps would you like to be seen done? There was Israel has taken such actions, and it says various governments, I should mention, deducting that money from the tax monies that go to the Palestinians. We've seen what's called the Taylor Force Act in the United States, deducting it from aid to the Palestinians. But you're right, that hasn't deterred the PA from paying out those sums. What actions would you want to see taken?
I think that first of all these laws and decisions which were passed by the Israeli government and by other governments worldwide are applied in a very, let's say, light manner. And actually the money is not given directly to the PA, but somehow it arrives there anyway. And secondly, I think that we should, the international community should condition any aid they provide to the Palestinian Authority first to the complete stop of the incitement, to some kind of teaching their youth people about peace, about if this is what they want really, and secondly, obviously, stop these payments altogether. So they are still going on, and so as long as it is existing, we should fight against it.
Right. Your thoughts, even before this verdict, I wonder, over the past week, we have seen this resurgence in terror in different forms, even some in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, some within Israel proper. I was wondering your response to seeing it, this sudden resurgence. It's always with Israel, but there seems to be a sort of concentration of it.
Yes, then the last 2 weeks we saw actually 4 events, the 3 attacks which we are very sad that they succeeded, but there was also this one which was prevented the last weekend.
Indeed.
And out of these 4 events, 3 came out of our area. So the guys who came out from Al-Fahim, which is a nearby town, and Yabed and Arabe, all these are really in our vicinity, and I'm very saddened, obviously, by the facts themselves, but also by the fact that I believe they could have been prevented if IDF was given a free hand or freer hand to work in this area, if there were more decisive and proactive actions taken against the incitement, against the organizations of terrorism, etc., in this area and all the other areas. But unfortunately, we are doing these steps, as we are seeing today, only after the event and not before, and this is very sad to see.
Now, we have discussed in previous programs your late wife, Esther, who was a quite remarkable woman, involved in many different activities, and we touched on some of the initiatives in her memory. Maybe talk a little about the ones that most current.
So I think that the one which is the most relevant, and it's relevant also to the previous question that you had, is that I have worked with an organization named the Yatar, which is the ATV units and Yeridat Traktorim of Israel, which actually purchases and provides to the security forces very powerful vehicles in order to help them fulfill their mission. And we had succeeded to, with the aid of very generous donators from the US, to provide the first vehicle to the Menashe Regional Command, which is in our region, and it became operational 2 weeks ago. And we are already seeing some kind of results of this, and we are working more and more in order to expand this activity. So I'm calling from here anyone who wants to have a practical hand into enhancing the security of Israelis, and obviously everyone who is in this area, to help us with the ATV unit that we are building up also in the memory of Israel.
Right, and just briefly, is there a website they should be?
Well, you look for Yatar, or you can go through my Facebook page, but there is the Yatar Israel. So Yatar Israel, which is the acronym for Yeridat Traktorim, right. And you will find it quite easily.
Or your Facebook page, of course. Benjamin Horgen, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you for having me
on I-24 News.